The question today is, should you play Arena Breakout over Tarkov? I've made sure to clock over 100 raids in this game before giving you guys my opinion. And the short answer is, if you're a Tarkov enjoyer, play this game. If you're a Tarkov fan, then feel free to stick to Tarkov. However, the long answer isn't so simple. So let's start this conversation with their similarities. Arena Breakout takes every aspect of Tarkov and gives it a nice polish. Starting with the most unique system popularized by BSG, the weapon builder. You can access the modding screen and API at level 1, with no arbitrary requirements like leveling up your workbench and hideout. This allows a player new to the genre to instantly access and play around with the modding screen. While making modifications to your weapon, each individual part has its value written, so you don't have to click find parts, find your current attachment, look at the price, go back, swap to the next attachment, and click find parts again. When you build a gun, all you need is enough slots in your inventory to fit your weapon, and it just builds. Whereas in Tarkov, it would dump all the parts into your stash, and if your receiver isn't in a specific spot, you'd have to move it to a place where it'll build, or drag and drop all the little attachments onto the receiver one by one. When building the rest of the kit, Arena Breakout doesn't have gear presets yet, but what it does have is quick equip. You can just select what you need and it'll buy what you're missing and throw it onto your body. The mobile version is quick equip for gear too, so I expect that it'll be ready in open beta so you can create your entire kit purely through quick equip. Using these tools, you'll spend much less time in stash compared to Tarkov. When it comes to quality of life and UI elements that just makes sense, Arena Breakout gets all my praise. For example, when accessing your quest menu, you can actually turn in finished quests through the quest tab. Whereas in Tarkov, you have to go to each individual trader through the trader menu to turn a single quest. When you want to sell something on market, instead of filtering by item and looking at what everyone else is listing it for, it'll simply ask whether you want to vendor it or list it on market. When clicking list on market, you'll see a screen that looks similar to RuneScape's Grand Exchange. You get to see a graph of current price and how many listings for every price point. You don't have to alt tab and go to a third-party site to find the most optimal listing price. There are zero restrictions on fleet, which sounds overpowered, but at the same time, it's fair for this game. I'll explain further when I talk about map zones. When attempting a barter trade, it'll buy your items for you. You don't have to search every individual barter item and purchase every single one manually. Imagine doing a stick case or red rebel trade-in in 2 mouse clicks. Before we get into gameplay, let's go over the combat system like armor stats, hitboxes, and so on. Armor classes and ammo pen stats can all be found in-game, and they work just like Tarkov. A 40 pen or higher round will have over 90% chance of penning a class 4 armor, and something in between 30 and 40 will have its percentage scaled. So a 35 pen round will have approximately a 40% chance of penning class 4 on first shot. This is a blatant copy of Tarkov, including many other things in this game. So it's up to you whether you want to support this kind of practice. Maybe my moral compass is fucked up, but the experience in Raid is both different and enjoyable enough for me to continue playing. To me, this situation is similar to the Vandal and AK being a one-hit headshot, while the Phantom and the M4 will dink. Cloning gameplay systems simply make the transition from one game to another very easy to understand for the player. If you're a hardcore Tarkov player, you'll instantly understand how ammo and armor works in Arena Breakout. Of course, there will be slight differences. In Tarkov, there's damage and pen reduction at range, and damage reduction after penetration. I don't know if that's a thing in Breakout, so we can go to the shooting range and lab it out. Once you're in the shooting range, you can access your stash through this table, and there's a toggle for infinite ammo. You can dress the mannequins with any armor and helmet in the game to do your ballistic testing. No need to get a friend to go into a custom game with you. You can tell these little things in Arena Breakout are extremely well thought out. After you've kitted up and tested your gun in the range, you can move on to loading into a raid. There are 3 options: Normal, Lockdown Zone, and Forbidden Zone. At the moment, Normal and Lockdown are available 24/7, but Forbidden is on a timed rotation. Normal has no requirements to enter a raid, but it has subpar loot. Lockdown Zone requires at least 30k spent on your kit and a 5k entry fee. This mode is more like normal Tarkov when it comes to loot. And finally, Forbidden Zone with a minimum of 80k for your kit and a 12k entry fee. This mode is the equivalent of labs. The equivalent of scavving is covert ops. In covert ops, there's no scav karma and you can only queue into normal games, so you won't get much value from looting. Your main goal is to complete scav specific quests that'll give you money and XP. You might get a quest where slaying other scavs is your objective, which can incentivize fighting. The entire system put together creates conscious gameplay. The way Tarkov is right now with scav karma and high value loot all over certain maps, the best way to make money is to run into a raid with their scav and put up Netflix on the side while you mindlessly farm for rubles. I have friends that are working from home while playing Tarkov and succeeding. This is impossible in Arena Breakout. To succeed in ABI, you have to be ready for player-to-player interaction at all times. The only way to progress is by getting better at the game, both macro and micro. You can't just skirt around the map doing quests on night maps while Netflix and scabbing to make 500k per run. All of this can sound difficult for a newer player, but this map system creates a pseudo safe space for them. As most geared players won't waste their time playing normals, knowing that it's statistically improbable to find enough loot to pay for their kit. This gives a newer player better chances to survive and learn the game without a skill-based matchmaking implementation. I know what you're thinking. No one is stopping people from running tier 6 in normals, but a newer player will have a much better chance winning against someone who isn't confident enough in their skill to run a higher tier zone, even if they're juiced. I love the gear requirement design. Back in the day when Tarkov had unrestricted flee, hatchlings were everywhere shoving graphics cards up their ass, eating up all the loot and selling it on market after death. After BSG's found and raid implementation, the hatchling problem was resolved, but it created a new problem. If you found nice loot, you were forced to play uninteractive in order to get value out of whatever you found. The gear requirement system in Arena Breakout completely solves the hatchling problem. Because if you were a hatchling, you're only allowed to play a map that has little to no loot. You might think this will cause everyone to find their one big ticket item and just W key and discard their life. But no, they thought this out too. Most big ticket red and gold items are either too large to fit into your container, or it forces you to take everything out of your container to fit it. So if you die, you'll lose the value of your high tier ammo and meds. But you can still flee whatever was in your container. With some of your loot secured and guaranteed, this creates less risk for PvP, giving players more reason to stay in raid and interact after finding a high value item. After choosing your game mode, you can play solo by turning off auto squads, manually join an existing squad, or turn it back on and let the queue auto queue you into a squad. Queuing and loading into a raid takes a maximum of 30 seconds. I usually get in raid near instantly, and out of all my 100 plus raids, I've never seen the counter go past 30. That's insanely quick compared to the 7-minute queues I get in Tarkov. Upon entering your raid, you'll notice the lack of inertia. There is acceleration and deceleration, but it's a lot less noticeable than Tarkov, and it's closer to a competitive shooter like CS or Valorant. This could be a good or bad thing, as the Tarkov community is heavily divided on this issue. If you like Tarkov's inertia, then Arena Breakout may not be the game for you. However, if you're like me who enjoyed no inertia, but understood it wasn't balanced with max strength, and you also hated BSG's implementation of inertia, then this is the game to play. Arena Breakout's movement is arcadey but gives control back to the player. It feels like pre-inertia Tarkov, but with very low level strength. This evens out the mechanical and tactical skill expression. So you'll need to play smarter than just W key to win fights, but also not so slow that it's optimal to sit in the corner all game. When it comes to gunplay, I actually dislike it. Everything about it is almost one-to-one with current Tarkov except for the recoil. It shoots like pre-recoil change Tarkov, where your gun quickly kicks up to a point, then your PMC auto-controls it, so it'll either stay around the area or start going downwards if you have enough recoil reduction attachments. While this system takes more skill to control compared to something more simple, like current Tarkov or Grey Zone Warfare where recoil just slowly goes upwards, I despise how unintuitive it is to have to counter the auto recoil control and push your mouse upwards during the end of your spray. Hopefully they'll change it, but after suffering for so many years in Tarkov, I've gotten used to it. Inventory management and looting in raid are very similar to Tarkov. There's some buggy things in Tarkov you can't do, like starting your search first then starting surgery while searching, or dragging items into an unsearched rig or bag. This makes looting quite a bit longer, especially when search or attention skills don't exist. When you pack a mag, there's an out of inventory animation so you can walk around like it's DayZ. I've been waiting on this for years in Tarkov. One big issue about the UI is that it's too easy. Having map markers and a waypoint on the compass to go with it makes reopening the map pointless, especially when you can see your teammate markers through the wall. This makes squad play way too overpowered. The difficulty in playing solo compared to Tarkov is absurd. It's almost impossible to win a fight against squads. While 1 versus squad fights in Tarkov are hard, you can rotate around their team and capitalize on moments of hesitation. But in Arena Breakout, without friendly fire and along with the ability to see team tags through walls, every fight against a squad just feels like a perfectly coordinated death ball. They can charge at you as a group without repercussions, especially with the down state. I understand the reason behind no friendly fire, but team tags needs to be removed. With the team tags removed, there will be situations where teammates will shoot each other and give away both of their positions. That's valuable information for a skilled solo player. A squad should be punished in some way if they don't properly ID their teammates or look at their map. This deathball gameplay isn't fun for either party. When exiting a raid, if you looted anything that belonged to your teammate and they brought it into the raid, it goes back to them. So your squad mates cannot keep any item you drop. Therefore, there's no way to RMT by transferring items in raid. And with the grand exchange system, you can't snipe each other's market offers either. The only way to sell currency by cheating is to sell carry services. Since you need to fill a minimum cost to load into higher tier zones, in the near future there will be a way to lend your friend gear through the lobby system, so you'll be able to queue into harder zones even if your friend is broke. Every out-of-rate aspect of this game, from the menu UI to the anti-RNP system, is very well thought out. There are some smaller things missing, like the ability to top up a stack of ammo, but they have plenty of time to fix it as it's still a closed beta. Mechanics, flee, and gameplay loop feels like I went back in time to the golden days of Tarkov. It honestly feels like the Arena Breakout devs started playing Tarkov from 11.7 to 12.11, then as 12.12 dropped with the current inertia system we have now, they said fuck this game, I'm doing it myself. I just don't see how something like this can be created without each developer being a Tarkov player with over 1,000 hours. Nikita, if you're watching, these people are playing their own game and playing yours too. BSG has spent years trying to please everybody while losing direction in Tarkov. If you enjoy a faster paced extraction shooter like pre-inertia Tarkov days, try Arena Breakout. If you enjoy a more milsim-y, slower paced game, where your main enjoyment is world exploration and survival, then stick to Tarkov. Though I did hear that Tarkov is lowering their inertia and opening up flee, which looks like an attempt to capture back the Arena Breakout audience. I don't know what Nikita meant by he's confident right now as ever back in the leaked interview, but he really needs to pick a side. Either cater to the chat player base or cater to the milsim player base. You can't have both. If BSG continues to lose vision, and you're in the realistic milsim camp, then maybe try something like Grey Zone Warfare. Arena Breakout is not a blatant clone of Tarkov, but rather a blatant clone of what Tarkov was. What made everyone love Tarkov years ago. I hope this helped your decision on which game to pick. Like if it did, sub with bell, leave a comment below about which game you're deciding to play. My other socials are here, thanks for watching.